have a good day? Hmm? Hmm? Did you have a good day? Huh? Clifford? You're here. Hi, how are you, baby? Aw, sleepy. Hi, baby boy. Hi, hi, hi. How are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, hi. The sandwich is really good. Roasted eggplants or aubergine, roasted zucchini or courgettes, fresh tomatoes, fresh romaine lettuce, and then I use pesto as a spread on sourdough ciabatta bread. Yeah, I roasted the vegetable last night, so I had leftover. I'm kind of rushing, actually. I just got back from work, and I'm gonna go to the gym in a little bit. I just got back from the gym. It's about 9 o'clock. I still have a little bit of energy left, so I'm actually going to cook my lunch for tomorrow. I prefer to bring my own lunch for work. It's just cheaper. I'm done cooking. It's a little after 10:30. I'm very tired now, and I'm gonna take a quick shower and go to bed. My boys are looking at me weird, wondering why I'm puttering around, because I'm usually in bed by now. So we're gonna call it a night, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hi, what's up? Hey, baby. How are you? Did you have a good day? Did you have Hi, Kuya? Hi, Kuya. Hey, baby boy. How are you? It's 6:30. I just got back from work a few minutes ago. I'm having dinner now. I'm having the pasta that I made last night. I've been reading Daphne de Maurier. This is a short story collection, and it's called Don't Look Now. Many of you might know her. She wrote Rebecca, which Alfred Hitchcock made into a movie with Laurence Olivier and John Fontaine. You should watch it, it's great. She also wrote The Birds, which Hitchcock turned into a movie some 20 years later, although that adaptation was nowhere near her original story except for the bird attacking part. I love the movie, The Birds, but the story is way better and creepier. Her stories are dark, sinister, morally ambiguous, things are unresolved or unclear, and then it just ends, and there are no happy endings. There's this thing she does, which I like. She takes something completely ordinary, a couple on vacation to Venice, a man watching birds from his window, a woman waking up after eye surgery and she can't wait to finally be able to see, and something shifts, something cracks or breaks, almost without warning. The familiar becomes something else, and the characters can't quite find their way back to how things looked before. Here's the thing, her characters usually sense it before it happens. There's a moment, sometimes several moments, where something feels off, where the ordinary day gives them a signal, and they don't stop. They keep going anyway. They walk right into it. And you're reading, and you can see it, and you want to say stop, but they don't, and maybe they can't. Maybe knowing something is wrong and continuing anyway is just what people do. Gosh, maybe it's what I do. What's compelling for me is how things seem so ordinary right before the change, how normal the day seems, how unaware or maybe unwilling the characters are. The dread, anxiety, or uneasiness was always there. It was just quiet, brewing below the surface. I'm about halfway through the book, and I keep stopping several times in each story because I'm trying to figure out what in the world is happening. I'm trying to put my finger on why or how things are shifting, and I have to sit with it for a moment before I keep going. I recognize that feeling she's writing about, just from being here in my apartment, that low humming of not quite knowing, of standing inside your own ordinary life, going to work, doing your errands, washing the dishes, reading a book in your apartment, and sensing that something underneath may be quietly shifting or unraveling. Maybe it's dread, maybe it's awareness that things are changing, but I'm not quite sure entirely yet into what. That you can be in the middle of something and not know it until later. Du Maurier doesn't resolve it for her characters. She doesn't give them answers. They just keep living inside this world of not knowing, which I can appreciate, but it also makes me feel unsettled.
Hi, good morning. It's about 5:15, and yeah, as expected, I woke up at the same time, even if I slept late last night. So I am sleepy. I really only got maybe 5.5 hours of I can't even talk. About 5.5 hours of sleep, and yeah. It is what it is. I am a little sleepy, but I'm gonna push through. Yeah, I'll have my breakfast and do a little bit of reading. So, yeah. Holy crap, I'm sleepy. Ugh.
You see, Maurier? Okay, I'm going to make the dough first because it needs to sit in the refrigerator for a little bit. The recipe I'm looking at wants 4 tablespoons of sugar, which is like diabolical. So I think I'm gonna cut that in half. So I'm gonna make the dough first and then I'll make the filling. Okay, the dough is in the fridge. It's gonna sit there for 20-30 minutes. I'm gonna work on the filling now. The recipe I'm looking at is a Filipino recipe, and it usually uses raisins as well as regular potato and a tablespoon of sugar. This is in addition to the sugar that was added into the dough, which I cut in half. I'm not going to add the sugar anymore because I think that's too sweet. I'm not going to use regular potatoes. Instead, to replace the sweetness that would have been in the sugar, I'm using Japanese potatoes instead of the regular potatoes. I'm also not including the raisins. I gotta be honest, I love Filipino empanadas, but I don't like the raisins in them. I've never liked raisins in things. Growing up, I remember eating cinnamon raisin bread, and I always picked out the raisins from the bread, right? So it's weird to me. So I'm not going to include that in the empanada. So I'm gonna cut up the chicken, the vegetables, and then get cooking. Alright, so this is the filling. It's fully cooked. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of liquid here at the bottom. So I strained it because I don't want a lot of moisture inside the pastry. So I put it in the refrigerator also to cool it down. So I'm gonna assemble, I think, one by one because the butter might melt in the dough. Okay, that looks insane. Wow. I mean, it looks terrible, but let's call it rustic. I don't know, I'm excited about this. Yeah. So I'm gonna put them back in the fridge so that they can reconstitute the butter, especially. I have a lot of filling left over. I can have it for lunch or something. So, all right, I'm gonna put it back in the fridge for maybe 20 minutes, brush it with egg whites, and then bake it. Ooh, that looks really good. That is a lot of butter. Okay, let's eat. Ooh. Ooh, that looks good. Okay. I should let it cool down, but I'm very hungry. It should be eaten by hand, but I think it's a little too large, so I think I'm gonna open it up. Ooh, it's crispy. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, that looks great. The crust is a little thick, but that's alright. I like bread, so it's a big plus for me. Oh, look how thick that is. It's so thick. Oh, that's great. Oh, it looks delicious. It's so good. It's crumbly. I love it. So good. The pastry is so buttery. Oh, it's so good. I started cooking around 3 o'clock. It's now 7:30. Yeah, totally worth it. And I'm glad I didn't add the extra tablespoon of sugar in the dough because the sweetness of the Japanese sweet potato totally works fine. Oh, it's so good. I should open a pastry shop, a bakery. Oh. When I was waiting for the empanadas to bake, I was doing a little bit of reading, and I came across this line. I'm still working on Chanel Miller's Know My Name, and there's a point in the story where her boyfriend visits her during art school. She takes a summer class in an art school back in the East Coast, and her boyfriend at the time visits her, and it's a very quick visit, and it's very clear that they have a very close relationship, and she's glad to have his visit. Right? He sees her print shop. They go have a burger together along the river, and she says, "I was proud to share my world with someone, the world I'd created myself." And then a few lines down, and this is after he had already left. The visit is very quick because he himself is in grad school, and he needs to go back to school. A few lines down, she says, "I'd forgotten what it was like to walk relaxed in the sun, to sleep with ease, to not be on guard every hour." It just reminded me of how much I miss being in a relationship. If you ask me, are you ready for a relationship? It's been almost 10 months since my relationship of 9 years ended. Are you ready for a relationship? I can't answer that question, because the better question is, are you interested in a relationship? And my answer is no. I'm not at all interested in any relationship at the moment, at this point in time. The line in her book reminds me how I miss silence in intimate relationships, in close relationships. Early in the relationship, and I think many of you can relate to this, early in the relationship there are fireworks, right? There are butterflies in the stomach. But when you sustain that relationship, when you keep that relationship, when you nurture that relationship, the relationship turns to something else, and that is it's not fireworks, it's a candle, that's warm and steady, a candle that lights a home. And it's that kind of silence that I miss. The silence of being together, just sitting here on my couch, the silence of, being out and having dinner and, not saying anything to each other. But there's a real connection there. And for me, the silence does something, and it functions as a perimeter, a perimeter for someone like myself who's in my head a lot. The perimeter keeps at bay the noise, that's in my head. It creates a line between, where I'm holding in so much and where I can let go and just be myself. And I miss that. It's a different kind of silence now. Here I am, it's Saturday night. I've just had dinner. I'm proud of myself for making the empanadas. Yes, it is quiet, it is silent, but it's a different kind of silence. And when that silence is with someone, that you care about, that you are in love with and are with in a deeper kind of sense, the texture of the silence is one that is soft and warm, right? And comforting. So again, if you ask me, are you interested? No, I'm just not interested in any relationship. My headspace, the cradle of my heart space, it's something else. My headspace and my heart space are interested in making sure my boys are taken care of, making sure my apartment is clean and organized and feels like a home. If you ask me, do I look? Yes. Do I smile? Yes. Do I flirt? Yes. Do I hook up?
you.